Blog Talk Radio. This episode of Video Marketing Madness is made possible by AWeber. AWeber, the easy way to make newsletters and to be able to deliver great products to your clients. If you want to start doing email marketing, then you need to check out AWeber right away. So head on over to raisebonuses.com/AWeber. And on today's show, we have a very special set of guests. We have Grant Wilson, who you may remember from Ghost Hunters, and his business partner, Mike Richie, and they're going to talk about how they do games and sell them online and elsewhere as well. So it should be great stuff.
Hey, Grant, is Mike there yet?
No, he's not here yet.
Okay, well,
he's stuck in traffic, so.
Okay, well, let's do the jingle.
He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.
It's the online marketing radio show, Video Marketing Madness, with Ray the video guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Video Marketing Madness. Get plenty of useful tips and news of the week. Ray's Facebook Mastermind group is groups/online video marketers. Get views for videos and questions answered. We're live Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Join the conversation at 818-369-1423. Ray's video marketing tip of the week is coming up at the end of the show. And we know that Grant's here, and Mike may be joining us. She's shown up yet, Grant?
He's here, yes. I'm here.
Da, 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 da.
Nice.
Mike Richie.
I don't have a jingle. That's a pretty sweet jingle.
Yeah.
We need to make you one. I got it made for $5. $5.
Wow. How much change do you have?
What's that?
That's the jingle. You got the jingle, right? Oh.
Yeah, $5 on Fiverr. You got to love that. Great.
So we're here. We're happy to be on the show. We love Ray. We've known him for a long time. Yes, very.
How
much do you love Ray?
Because most of the guests that we have are either people that we only know from meeting them online, or they just happen to be business owners that we have some affinity towards. This is the first time any of my childhood friends have been on the show, so this is kind of a different sort of feel to this. And fortunately, you're not here just for that reason. We actually have a good purpose behind that as well. So it should be pretty interesting stuff.
Hey, Mike, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Steve.
That's right. This is Steve, Mike, Steve.
Occasionally,
I'm the Mike part of Hi, Steve, Mike.
Yeah, occasionally I like to make inappropriate comments. So
yes,
that's what I do here.
That's okay. I always like to make inappropriate comments. So
well,
I'll teach you.
It'll be good. So you guys are from what, Rhode Island then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. This is the only radio show in the world with 3 Rhode Islanders on at the same time.
That people are listening to.
Well, what are the odds of that? I mean,
and even more so from the Scituate, Foster, Gloucester area too. So
that's right. Yeah, we all grew up within about 5 miles from each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, amazing. Well, but I know Rhode Island geographically is small, but I bet you there's more people there than in Nebraska where I'm at. So
I believe that is the case. I believe we have the same amount as Alaska. Oddly enough, I think they're about the same.
Yeah, I think we got like 1.5 million. And
oh no, actually, you guys are ahead then. I think Rhode Island's still just barely over 1 million. So
yeah,
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, we got 1.5 million, of which 1.4 million of them are in the eastern third of the state. From here, the rest of the state is desert. But
well, what's funny is where we grew up too. You'd think, gosh, Rhode Island is so tiny, and they've got over 1 million people in there. They must all be crammed together. But where we grew up, the 3 of us even, big plots of land, woods. Not very close neighbors.
A lot of people think New England, they think it's one big city. In fact, I've had people tell me exactly that. To me, it's a big forest. I grew up in a big. Yeah. I mean, Ray, a couple of his buddies built a creepy log cabin out in the woods in high school.
He did. That's right. Which to this day, I think we never put a door in it, so there's just this log cabin with no doors and windows.
Oh, the last time I was out there.
When you mention forest, I used to travel a lot and drive all over New England, and the thing that I remember the most are trees and forests and stuff like that,
Oh, yeah. I mean, Grant, Mike, and I have all lived in Rhode Island, and we've all lived in Utah, so we've seen the difference between trees and no trees.
Yeah, one time when I was in Utah, I was standing next to this guy, and he's outside, and he takes a deep breath, in and out, looks up at the mountains. He goes, "Don't you love fall?" And I looked up, and there was one patch of red on the mountain. It's a slightly less rusty color.
I had
there's a smudge of rust on the mountain.
A buddy of mine was living in Miami, and he came up here during the fall in Nebraska. Of course, we get fall like the Midwest, the leaves, and there's a lot of trees and stuff. And he's out in my backyard collecting leaves so he can take them back,
Glue them on his cactus.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, hey, why don't we get into news of the week? Super Bowl. Oh.
Suddenly there was silence.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't find the stories. Like, what?
Been there.
Oh, here they are. Super Bowl 2015. Online views smash 1 billion barrier.
Wow. Are they talking legal or illegal?
Yeah, right.
A lot of people reliving the past.
Yeah. Last week, Tubular Labs announced that its software now tracks the creators and content of 1 billion videos across more than 30 platforms. So it was YouTube. It was all of them: YouTube, Facebook video, Instagram video, Vine, Twitch, Vimeo, and the Super Bowl related content broke 1 billion views.
Well, it ended up being the most watched Super Bowl ever, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I used to work for Roto-Rooter, and that was the biggest flush was the halftime at the Super Bowl. That's when if your toe was going to break, it was going to break. If the city system was going to break, just a little FYI, a little trivia for you. That's the big.
Nice. I never thought about that before, but that's an interesting take on it.
Back to you, right?
The big flush.
The big flush. Yeah, well, of course, I'm kind of old now, so it's throughout the game every 5.
Good thing you have DVR nowadays, right?
Yeah. According to Tubular, 80,000 videos from 49,000 creators generated 1.1 billion views with an average of 13,000 views per video.
Nice.
Who won that game? How did they win?
Yeah. Who won that game again?
It's going to goal unit.
Oh, wait, that's right. It was my team.
I saw this picture of Pete Carroll was working at a McDonald's, and he was handing a hamburger out to somebody at the drive-through window.
I saw that too.
Yeah. He says, I can either hand this bag to you, or I can drop back 5 yards for no reason and throw it to you.
Wow.
My favorite one was the Rob Lowe one. It showed two pictures of Rob Lowe with Pete Carroll's face on it, and says, "I'm Rob Lowe, and I have DirecTV. I'm really stupid, Rob Lowe." And
I got the best running back in the NFL and the ball on the 1 yard line, and I'm going to.
And I have cable.
Yeah, he'll never live that down.
No, poor guy. And sadly, he lost it to his former team because he used to be our coach. So
he was the coach before Belichick, wasn't he?
Yep. Yes. Because there was. I'm trying to remember my lineage now, but I think after Tuna left, I think he was Tuna, then Carroll, and then Belichick took over.
Okay. Yeah.
So I believe so. Maybe I got that back.
I think that's it. I think. Oh, by the way, that story was from RealSEO.com.
Yes, Real SEO.
This one is from Search Engine Watch. Google's local guides encourage Yelp-like reviews on mobile. Local guides similar to Yelp Elite Okay, in this program, Google will reward users guides. They call them guides for quality reviews.
Nice.
For example, if a user writes more than 50 quality reviews, they'll have access to a private Google Plus community and get invites to exclusive events in select cities. And if a user provides more than 200 reviews, they'll be eligible to be featured on the local guides official Google Plus, Facebook, and Twitter accounts.
Sweet. So basically, I can go to Fiverr right now, and by the end of the day, I could be a part of either of those groups.
Yeah. And you could host a special meetup.
Nice. That's good. Are they gonna only show bad reviews and then disregard anything nice people say?
Well, unless you pay for it. Let's see. They introduced it a month ago. It started in Google Plus. Now it's in Maps, the Maps app.
Nice. That's cool.
In a similar program, Yelp rewards its users for their reviews, but never publishes them. No. Never publishes them if they're good. With special badges, invites to parties, and other gifts, as well as through Yelp Elite. Local guides seems more accessible to the public.
Yeah, I think Yelp is on thin ice at this point.
What kind of parties do they throw in? Like a bunch of people just criticizing each other? Or
I know.
Wow, this punch is only 2-star.
I really like this restaurant. That never gets published. This restaurant sucks gets published.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. That's happened to me every single time. If I post something nice, they put it in the potential spam, whatever that other folder is with the reviews they don't think might be real. But if I say something bad, then that gets posted. So I never understood that.
Kind of sums up the whole internet.
Well, also, it's not just the market in, the gaming world, the way the critics are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't seen anything on this since we announced it about a month ago, but supposedly Yelp is being investigated by the FTC.
Yeah, that is true. Well, at least they were. I don't know if they still are at this point.
Yeah, I don't.
They were being investigated, so
it
should be.
Because they were only doing the bad reviews. If you wanted good reviews, you had to buy some stuff. You had to spend some money with them. Otherwise, they just did the bad ones on you.
Yeah.
Shady
stuff.
Yeah. Okay, this is from Bloomberg. Speaking of Yelp, tumbled the most since its initial public offering after active users declined at the online reviewing service last quarter, amid greater competition from Google, etc.
AKA Google.
Google, etc., which like 99% and then like 50 others. The stock slumped 22% to close at $45.11, the biggest one-day decline since Yelp's IPO in March 2012.
Yeah, I think they're in trouble. They seem to stumble through everything, and I don't know. It's just it's not good.
Well, and monthly active users in the fourth quarter dropped by about 5 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's according to Bloomberg Intelligence.
Bloomberg.
Okay, this is. No, are you going to say something?
I was going to say, sure wasn't Yelp posting those numbers?
Yeah.
Going to say something sarcastic? Because that's what we do here. I mean,
no.
I'm not being critical. Well, yeah, I am, because that's what we do here. Anyhow, VentureBeat.com.
VentureBeat. Okay.
Yeah. You ever heard of VentureBeat?
I have not. This is a new source for us here.
Mm. Facebook today, the 11th, launched Threat Exchange, no D on the end, described as an API-based clearinghouse for security threat information. It's really a social platform which Facebook naturally excels at building, which allows companies to share with each other details about malware and phishing attacks.
That's cool.
And I guess Pinterest, Tumblr, Twitter, and Yahoo are participating. They participated in the development, so I guess they're still part of it. Oh yeah, they are. They're part of it still, and Bitly and Dropbox have joined in.
Cool.
Thread Exchange is built on Facebook's existing platform infrastructure, which layered APAs on top for partner companies to query available thread information and publish to participating organizations.
Wow, I have no idea what you just said.
I don't either. I'm just reading it. I'm just trying to enunciate.
Sounded like a list from a dictionary or something.
I know. I could have just been saying electrodefragmentizer over and over, and it would have been the same thing. The resultant privacy controls lets participants share only. Okay, this doesn't say.
Throw it away.
Yeah.
We really need Ben Stein to read this.
I know. Yeah.
That would be
well,
awesome.
I've had some of that sort.
There it is, down the drain.
Down the drain.
That's for you, Grant.
Big flush.
Halftime at Super Bowl.
Not only we've now heard.
Yeah. Okay. Now this kind of ties in with the other story. I've been trying to have two stories tie together. This comes from SearchEngineLand.com. Google removes "How can I join ISIS?" auto suggestion.
Does they have a form you can fill out, or?
It's in English.
I mean, there's nothing else I have to read about that story. The headline tells it.
Well, just to let you know, if you start typing that in, you can get "How can I join the Illuminati? How can I join the KKK? And how can I join the fight against ISIS?" So.
Okay.
Well, maybe Illuminati and the KKK are on the same side here. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you can, and guess what? You ready for this? Here's a problem, though. You still do get the suggestion, "How can I join ISIL?"
Oh.
So ISIS is gone, but ISIL is there.
Now, why the heck does Obama say ISIL? What?
It has to do with, and I don't want to get into all this crazy political stuff, but it has to do with the last word being Levant, and that has to do with the whole area, including Israel. And so that's what the difference is between the two. And Levant actually is the important part because that's where they actually take over the entire Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and control the whole area. So
that's crazy talk. No one would ever want to do that.
Yeah.
Know, right? That would never happen. Said Brian Williams when he was in Rome with the Romans.
Yeah.
Stop. You mean back when he was old?
Yes. Well, back when he was interviewing Caesar and,
I've met Jesus. Jesus was a friend of mine. You're no Jesus.
I am Brian Williams. I'm Brian Williams.
He really didn't have long hair. Jesus didn't. Okay, now before I get into trouble.
No, we're well past there.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way, all this political stuff will be solved if Sir Barnaby does become president, just so everybody knows.
Here. That is touche.
That's quite indeed.
We'll explain that in a few minutes.
Okay. This has something to do with the game, huh?
Kind of.
Has something to do with the future of mankind.
It's 2015. We're in the future.
Oh, that's right. I'm still waiting for my tinfoil colored shiny suit that I wear every day, though.
That's gonna be awesome.
Now, see, this could be a whole other group of jokes. You know, Brian Williams in the future.
Yes. Ooh.
Oh.
Never thought about that. He hasn't talked about future stuff.
Well, as a news reporter, he does spend a lot of time traveling on airplanes. So at relativistic speeds, he is a few milliseconds in the future.
That could be true. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's geek is showing.
Oh, sorry, don't take that away. Football.
Okay. Back to Steve.
Back to the crazy news.
This is from Bloomberg. Twitter has struck a deal with Google to make its 140-character updates more searchable online.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe I'll start using Twitter.
Yeah. In the first half of this year, tweets will start to be visible in Google's search results as soon as they're posted.
Gosh, How are they going to do that? Those things fly by at like 500 a second. That's just on my.
The last thing you need is, when you're looking for info, the last thing you need is 100 million tweets about it. Like, that's not the info you need.
You know, I wonder, though, if they're going to do the at one point, they kind of did a thing where the tweets would show up in a separate search on the side, and I wonder if that's what they're going to do, is kind of or something.
Well, here's the answer.
Right. I guess I should shut up and listen.
Google has, why start now? Google has access to Twitter's fire hose. That's what they call it. It's a stream of data generated by Twitter's 284 million users, people with knowledge of the matter.
What?
Yeah.
Right. That's okay.
Hey, I didn't write the story, all right?
Poor Twitter. They're still stuck at 284 million, huh? Man.
Well, and Twitter's CEO said that they're trying to get tweets seen by more non-users and generate more advertising revenue. I still don't know how you monetize Twitter, and I used to. I just use it for a news feed now, but I used to interact with a lot of people on it one time back when I was 100% bank marketing guy.
Yeah.
You know.
I've just never caught on with the whole Twitter thing. It never resonated with me.
It's great for me. I mean, you're able to just spit out the info you need to people and give them a window into your life, and it seems to work out all right. But I
do that. I actually do some of that. I post that stuff out, but I just never followed and really spend any time, going into the Twitter app and paying attention to anything, though.
I also remember, we're all, for lack of a better word, old. I have friends that are like 20, 25, and they're just glued to Twitter.
Oh, my father-in-law is glued to it.
And he's even older.
I know.
Yeah, I use TweetDeck, and I've got it organized by list, so news, and then I got, breaking news in there, and Bloomberg, and the Omaha World Herald, and blah, 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 and then bank marketing guys. That's kind of how I keep up on bank marketing, because I still work in it a little bit. That was my former profession until it crashed in 2009. So
now he does a much more successful radio show.
Yes. all the stories I can eat, all the stories I can't understand, delivered to you.
All right.
Yeah.
And now for something completely different.
Yes, and now for something completely different. We're going to talk games and puppets and ghosts and a whole bunch of other great things here. So we got a lot planned for today. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we've got two guests. We've got two friends of mine from growing up, Mr. Mike Richie, and you know him, you love him, Grant Wilson, famous for Ghost Hunters.
Hey, no.
He ain't afraid of no ghost, if anybody was correct. So, guys, well, I want to start off just because obviously a lot of people recognize Grant, and people were actually kind of excited by the fact that we were having him on here today. So we'll touch a little bit on ghosts and things. But the reason I had you guys on, of course, is because you guys have a business called Rather Dashing Games. And you guys make innovative and board and card games. I think most people when you hear games think video games immediately. But tell us how you guys got into that business.
Mike?
Okay. Well, I've been designing games for about a decade now professionally with a few different companies. It was very cool, and I always wanted to have my own game company. So
hold on, you've done games for like the X Games, custom games with Barnes & Noble. We're not talking like,
Tic-Tac-Toe Deluxe.
Yeah, I mean, some good stuff.
Yeah, I've had some really cool opportunities. I spent some time at Van Skate Park because I got commissioned by the X Games to do a board game for skateboarding. Got approached by Barnes & Noble to do a custom-themed zombie game for a few years ago, so they were doing a big zombie push at Halloween. So I've done some really interesting stuff, but the geeky game and family game market's always been kind of a passion of mine, and I wanted to own my own company. And the two biggest parts of owning a game company anyway is someone who can make games and someone who can make killer art, in which Grant is a killer artist. So
Grant is the Renaissance man.
Yes, he's painted his own Mona Lisa.
I don't dress that way. Oh, no.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, well, I mean, we were sitting around a fire one time because we like to camp and stuff, and Mike was just kind of voicing, he wasn't angry, but just some of his frustrations and stuff, and we were like, well, why don't you start on your own? Like, what would you need to start our own company? And we figured it out and said, the frig, let's do it.
Well, it was almost like it was gone. Like, we was like, wait a sec.
Epiphany.
We can do this.
Yeah.
We can do this ourselves. And so now we are.
Nice.
And what a lot of people don't understand is people think board games like Monopoly, and what people don't understand is that put Monopoly aside for a minute. Like, it's fine in its own right. I personally can't stand the game, but but you take the games that you get at Toys R Us or whatever, and you put them aside, and you look deeper, and there's just this huge world of beautiful, rich, clever, just amazingly ingenious games out there. In Europe, they're really huge. It's a big industry over there. In America, it's really on the rise.
Yeah, like to the level in Europe that, we watch the Super Bowl and you see like the $1 million, Budweiser commercials. Over there, how big soccer is in Europe, you'll see board game. You'll see Settlers of Catan, a classic board game in Europe, advertised at a huge sporting event like that because it's really part of their culture. And it's really started in the past, 7 or 8 years, to start to see it bleed over into America. And even now you go into someplace like Target, and they have, a hobby game section, and it's getting.
Well, and I remember back in Providence, in the what was it called, the old mall in Providence there. I can't even think of the name of the place now.
Providence Place. That one? The arcade.
No, not Providence Place. This is the old mall. From early 1900s. They had a hobby game store in there, and they had some great stuff in there. I used to go in there all the time, pick up games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's people typically get games like Sorry or Monopoly or The Game of Life, that type of stuff. And then on the other side, you have like Warhammer and D&D and these heavy-duty games and these Euro-style games.
Axis and Allies.
Right. They can take hours and hours to play, which are fun. But right in between those is kind of where we sit. So if you like to play games, but you're not necessarily a heavy gamer, but you want a little bit more of a gaming experience, that's kind of, I guess that's where we fit. We kind of introduce you. We open the door. We're the ushers at the door of the game industry.
Yeah. In the industry, it's called gateway games.
Yeah, and if anybody's listening and wondering about this, you can head over to rather-games.com and you can take a look at some of the games they have on there to kind of get a better idea. They've got games from I guess I don't know what age. Red Hot Chili Peppers. What age group is that for? That's for the younger crowd.
Well, honestly, it was designed for the younger crowd, but a lot of people play it. And what's weird in the game industry, everybody turns everything into a drinking game. So any of these, that's your thing, go for it. But Red Hot Chili Peppers is, if you can count by 5, you can play that game.
Nice.
And that's about it. But they're all a lot of fun. That's the only one that's really specifically engineered for it.
Yeah, that was one of our first products that we geared towards the kind of the kid and very family-friendly market to get our feet wet.
Schools love it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then our games got are a little bit more, I wouldn't say old, like much. I'd say 9 to 10 is where you start playing most of our games.
Yeah, just a little more. I don't know if serious is the right word, but that's kind of the word that I would think of with it. It's a little more serious gaming.
It's about the level of tactic. Like, can an 8-year-old get it, or will they just be super cruel, or will they not get it at all? And that's about it. I mean, all of our games are very approachable for families and all that, but they're not. It's not Chutes and Ladders. It's not a game that you want to kill yourself if your kid wants to play it. You know what I mean? They're all very approachable for adults and kids.
Yeah, and I would say probably your market tends to be more of the pardon the phrase, everybody, but the geeky gamer type.
Yeah.
I think that's the best term to put it at to in a nice way.
And I think that's a great term too. I mean, geek. I mean, it's a cliche now. Geek is becoming chic. It's. Look at Big Bang Theory.
Well, I was just going to say I could see Sheldon having a T-shirt with some of your games on it. That kind of thing.
I would like to see Sheldon wearing a T-shirt.
Well, you see, when you have a game called Pirates, Ninjas, Robots, and Zombies, you kind of define your audience right there, you know?
Yeah. Especially when someone says, oh, what's this new game? Oh, it's called Pirates, Ninjas, Robots, and Zombies. I'll take a copy. Do you want to know how to play? No, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly why I ordered it, was for that reason, you know?
It's a great doorstop, eh? Right.
That's no, are you kidding?
Oh, it doesn't make a great doorstop. Oh, you can't even do that.
my problem, and this is the thing, is I collect games. You know, I'm one of those people who's like, be careful with that. Don't lose one of those pieces. You know, I freak out if, you know, people knock a piece of Clue over or whatever. But, you know, my biggest problem is it's sometimes tough to find people that want to play. You know, I want to play board games all the time. But, you know, it's difficult. The kids don't want to do it sometimes, or, you know, whatever it happens to be. So it gets difficult. So,
well, the key to that is a game that's easy to learn and doesn't play for long. Like our games, we specifically designed them to be learnable in, I say 5 minutes or less.
Right.
10 maybe if you're, you know, someone's particularly special or anything like that, either the explainer or the explaining. And then they're, you know, an hour or less to play. So you're not asking for a whole night from somebody. It's just like, hey, come here, and you can explain it in a couple minutes.
Right.
And you're playing. And then if they like it, then you can ramp it up to something else.
And I appreciate that, because a gamer myself, because a lot of times it's these very shallow party-style games, or I'm committing a night to like Dungeons and Dragons. And as much as I love some of those really heavy, really complex games, truth of the matter is, I have a 3-year-old son. I work. It's just I can carve an hour out here or there, but I can't always carve an 8-hour gaming session.
Not only that, but a shorter game is fun because if you lose, turn around and play again. Yeah, you can turn around and play it again if you want. And you know, it's easy. Sometimes you find yourself playing longer by playing a bunch of smaller games than one long game. So,
no, and I totally agree. I mean, how many of us have ever completed a full game of Monopoly? You know?
Well, you know what? Almost everybody plays it wrong, and that's why it goes
true.
on.
Everybody has their own rules they use instead. And
if you play it right, it doesn't last that long. It's still long, but it's not. I mean, I've only played Monopoly for like 3 days. Not great, but you know, over the course of 3 days. And
I had a Risk game go that way in college.
Yeah.
Oh, we've had Risk games that have gone on for weeks at a time because you know you'd come back 2 days later and things like that. So it's Axis and Allies Risk. We've had some real long ones in the past.
Well, they made my final opponent. We started out with 5 or 6 players, and it was just this one girl and I, and her roommates and my roommates finally made us draw up a peace treaty.
Well, let me ask you this, guys. So you guys have these games. You've got 5 games on your site. How are you selling these games? Is it all online, or is it mostly online?
Well, we have our online store, and that's just simply for convenience. Some people, they're just there and they want to buy it, and they know that it's coming from us and all that. But they're available through Amazon. Our main push is through distributors, where they house our product, and we try to drum up interest from the end users, and they fulfill the orders. And we advertise obviously online and in different trade magazines and stuff like that. So it's not a high profit margin. So you got to kind of move some volume. So while what we have to do is intrigue and entice the end user, so they will go to the store, hopefully the local hobby store, and get it there from them and help the store and us at the same time. That's kind of the goal for the industry as a whole.
Yeah,
do you agree?
I'd say so. I'd say the hobby game industry is one of the few real industries in America that's still really pushing mostly at the brick and mortar mom and pop store level. Like, yeah, there's Amazon, and so every once in a while someone will get lucky and get something into Barnes & Noble and Target, but I'd say 90% of the games are being pushed very much at the local level, and I really like that.
Oh, that's interesting. Are there a lot of them still around, or is it still a thriving business? Because I know, it's one of those things where when I was a kid there was a lot of them, and I don't see as many of them as I used to.
They're there. Definitely the internet has made an impact, because it's a whole lot easier to click and wait for it to come to your house, and it's typically cheaper that way. But but the Amazon's not going to teach you how to play it or say, no, that's not the game you're looking for. You want to look at this one, you know, and or much less offer a tournament where you could actually win the game for free or prize money, whatever.
Or even a culture of support. You go to your local game store and, you know, it's the water cooler of, you know, the geek world. It's everyone discusses the latest game or the classic games or how they play a game, and you can find, like you said, sometimes you can't find people to play with. Well,
right, and that's where you find them, is places like that. And, you know, it's funny you bring that up about the Amazon thing, which Amazon is great. I mean, literally they come here, you know, when they do that drone thing, they're going to have one just with my But, you know, right now, literally every day, UPS is dropping something off at Amazon. But you're right in that, you know, it's tough to get a real bead on what it is sometimes from a picture and a description. For instance, this is kind of comical. My wife, she wanted new spoons because, you know, just getting old and wanted to replace the spoons. So she ordered a whole bunch of spoons from Amazon.
How long has she played the spoons?
Long. She's pretty good at it.
She opened for Mick Jagger once.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sorry, I'm just here for the inappropriate comment.
Well, here's the funny part about it. We get these spoons in, right? They're all about 3 inches long, and they're like little tiny baby spoons. But they look like normal spoons, just tiny. And she's like, well, I didn't know they were that small online. So she orders more spoons, right?
Oh no!
And yesterday we get a package, and the spoons are absolutely gigantic. They're like serving spoon size.
Wow.
But in the picture online, they just look like normal tablespoons, you know?
Maybe the little ones need to add water.
Yeah, there you go. They're dehydrated.
Lilliputian spoons. Well, that's what I'm getting at is that, especially in the game world, and these hobby games can be anywhere from, you know, $20 or $15 up to couple hundred bucks. Some of them are pretty intense, and you know, you get into Descent and stuff like that, and they're expensive, and you want to make sure that this is exactly what you want. And you know, if you have a game store you can go to, and he can just say, look, this kind of game will give you this type of experience, and if that's not what you're looking for, like, you're just not going to get that online.
And I've gotten bitten that way online. You know, I'll see a game that the cover looks shiny and pretty, and it's, you know, a 3-inch spoon. You know, it's not what I was really thinking. That doesn't happen with a brick and mortar store, because they not only want your business, but because of things like competition with like Amazon, they need your business.
Yeah,
right. No, yeah, that's really good.
We got a store like that here in Omaha. You know, it's all board games. You know.
Yeah, we've got a hobby toy game store down in Park City here. That's pretty good. I bet you they have your games in there. I haven't been in there in a while, so it's you know, I'd be interested to see if your games are actually there, because I've actually found some things that I've wanted to get that I couldn't find anywhere, and finally did find in that particular store, which was interesting. So I'll have to go back and check and see if your stuff is there.
Well, if they don't have our stuff, take your shoe off and go cruise ship on them. You know, bang the table.
That's right. I need my dwarven miner.
We're better you.
We were talking about Martin Luther earlier, right? What were we talking about? Just tack that to the door and let them know.
Yeah, that's right. The 95 Theses, which by the way were in Latin and nobody could read them, so the Pope overreacted. But anyhow,
he should have tweeted it.
Yeah,
that's right. You should have tweeted it to Brian Williams. He could have got it.
The only reason I know they were in Latin is because Brian Williams told me so.
He has a picture of it.
And who more of an authority on the Latin language than, you know, Brian Williams?
Well, he was there.
He invented it, didn't he?
Yeah, he invented Latin. He was at the Cathedral at Wittenberg in 14.
You know, a year from now, people are going to be listening to this show on podcast and being, what the heck are they talking about?
Brian Williams will clarify it for us.
I think that happens a lot, though, Ray.
Brian Williams is Latin for Time Lord, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is. Now, you know, the ironic thing is I have a friend in this business called Brian Williams, and a lot of the listeners know who he is, and they probably think we're talking about him.
Oh, yeah, Brian Williams. I know who you're talking about. That's right. I forgot about that.
We're talking about Brian Williams, the news anchor, in case anyone's wondering.
The guy with hair.
The suspension anchor.
The guy with the face.
Yeah, the guy with the face.
The guy that invented Latin. Come on, guys.
In Latin. And was beheaded by ISIS.
Brian Latin Williams?
Latin.
No, he beheaded ISIS.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Now let me backtrack a little bit here, because one thing I wanted to bring up with you guys is you guys have done some.
Did you say backtrack or get back on track?
Well, both backtrack and back on track.
All right.
You guys have done quite a few videos, and of course that's kind of our specialty here, is dealing with videos. And you know, you've got your YouTube channel and lots of neat little videos on there. How has that done for you? Has that well, I can't even speak now. Has that brought you any business or attention?
Here's how it started. Yeah. It started just because it was fun. But one of the main things is we were going to Gen Con, which is the largest consumer game trade show in essentially the Western Hemisphere. And they had this thing for first-time business owners that if you came up with this really cool marketing campaign, they would essentially
involve your company and Gen Con.
Yeah, involve both. They would give you more booth space and all these advertising perks and all this cool stuff. So we're like, hey, why not? And we thought about it, and so we made a video essentially for that, and ended up winning that competition.
And that video is like, we made puppets, and we basically spoofed the most interesting man in the world. So he was the most interesting gamer, and we basically summed it up by saying, I don't often go to game shows, but when I do, it's Gen Con, and it worked. It won. So yeah, it's been working well for us. But like we said, Amazon can't explain the game to you, so some of our videos are just how to play the game or introductions to it to kind of break that wall down, and that's worked really well for us.
Mm-hmm. That has helped a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine it would. You know, I mean, that's when we look at, we all love the funny videos. We all love the crazy videos, things like that. But when it comes down to it, a lot of times with, helping your business, it's the here's how to do it videos that really make the big difference. Case in point, if you guys have ever seen like the Dollar Shave Club video where the guy is, driving through the store and acting crazy and all that, that had a lot of attention. But then you go to a website or a YouTube channel like Gillette, who gets way more views, and it's all like, here's how to shave this type of beard. Here's how to use a razor properly. Here's how to, use this or that.
The goal is to do both, to have, like, we have a silly Dwarven Miner commercial our friends made, it's all from the 50s. Like, that gets you there. And then once you're interested in the product, we have the informative side of it, too. And we're in the process of doing that for all our games. And we've gotten better equipment. So in the game industry, it's really hard to find good quality ones except by the big manufacturers. And so that's what we're trying to emulate.
So Sir Barnaby and Aloysius will be making more debuts.
Yes, we have our kind of our mascot, and it's Sir Barnaby, and he's kind of steampunky, and it's the greatest game in the world. He's an amalgamation of our grandfathers, who are both great people, and that's why we keep saying Sir Barnaby.
That's funny. He kind of does look like your grandfather, Mike. I didn't even think about that until you just said that. Holy cow! How could I not have pieced that together with the little beard and everything? My goodness.
Yep.
Wow, that's funny. I never even thought about that until you just said that. But that's awesome.
Well, both of our grandfathers, like Grant said, they were
dynamic.
They were very dynamic, very big. I don't mean big as that, but big in life men. And it's a heck of an act for us to follow.
Yeah, my grandfather was like Liberace's lawyer, and he invented the flip-top cap. Like anytime you pop open a bottle with one hand, like shampoo or ketchup, whatever, he used to bank for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and, Mike's grandfather was awesome. How many missions did he fly?
In the upper 50s, bombing runs over Germany, and then he went to work for the CIA, and then he was police chief in 2 states, and then he was a photographer. And
then he appeared in the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie.
As the snowman.
My grandfather was Brian Williams.
Yes, and will be Brian Williams.
Whoa. So is his grandson.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we love the tangent. Clearly, we're the creative side of the company.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's a lot of great stuff, and like I said, I'm a big game fan, so I love what you guys are doing. And when I was talking to you guys before this, I said, you guys have like the coolest job in the world, You guys make these fun games.
Yeah, it's fun when my kids' friends perk up. They're like, "What do you do?" "Oh, we own a board game company." What? Yes. Not a,
The only way
that would be cool at high school reunions.
Well, the only way you could be cooler is if you told your friends' kids you were either a pro wrestler or a video game maker. So
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, astronaut doesn't go as far these days.
Yeah. Astronaut, fireman, no big deal. My dad's Hulk Hogan. Woo!
We could be wrestling. We could wrestle on our videos.
There you go, puppet wrestling.
Puppet wrestling, midget puppet wrestling.
Wow, that sounds dirty.
Sumo.
So let me ask you guys, because we don't, a lot of times we get business owners on here. Most of the people that we get on are strictly marketing people. So they're either marketing a product or they're helping other people to market products. So let me ask you this. When you decided to do this game company, because you're making a physical product, so the first thing I'm curious about is how did you figure out all the sourcing for it? And then on the other side is how did you figure out how to get it distributed and sold?
Well, fortunately, Mike had some education in that.
Yeah, I'd worked for several years, like I said previously, with other game companies, and I learned a lot while working with them. They said, "Hey, Mike, we've got to go to Germany to go to the toy show there." I'm like, "Okay." So we'd head over there, and I just kept my eyes and ears open, and it's an industry where the great thing about the game industry, something that I think a lot of people don't understand, is if I made toothpaste and you made toothpaste, we're really in competition for each other. I need to convince everyone why mine is mintier and prevents less cavities.
Right.
Prevents cavities. The game industry doesn't really work that way, in the fact that no one really buys one game in the game industry. So we have directed people to other game companies. Other game companies have directed them to us because we're all trying to give the end user, the consumer, a rich game experience. And every game sold helps all of us.
Yeah, it's a very forgiving environment. Everyone's very supportive, and the information sharing is great. It's a wonderful industry to be in for that reason. It's a small world, a lot of camaraderie, and no one's really in direct competition. So it's awesome. So yeah, I mean, what's neat about this industry is if you don't know how to make a game or how to manufacture a game or distribute a game, people will tell you. The only trade secrets that there are like games that haven't come out yet. Yeah, that's about this.
So essentially, as long as you have a good idea, there's ways to figure out how to get it out there.
Absolutely. If you don't even want to deal with other companies or sell it or have a different company take your game and change it or make your own company, there's a place like Game Crafters, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, Game Crafters, where they have all like these kind of pre-made components, and you can make your own game and sell it.
Yeah.
Or make it and play it. And, it's high quality parts and all that.
I mean, to the point where, there's a camaraderie in this industry to the point where we were at a show last year, and a company that you would otherwise think is a competitor, they're about to release a product, and they said, "Hey, this is our prototype. We're getting ready to go to production. You want to play with us and give us your thoughts?"
Yeah, that happens all the time.
That doesn't happen in car manufacturers or
right.
Toothpaste.
Want to see this really cool thing we've done with the seats in our cars?
Yeah, but it's there's not that dog eat dog world here, and I really like it.
Yeah, that's and that does make it unique, and it's very similar, I think to the business that I'm in, where I create training products and things like that, and I've got a ton of people who technically could be considered the competition, but really we all work together. We help promote each other, we help get the word out there, and it sounds like the gaming industry is really no different than that.
It is, and it's made up of it's made up of a lot of game fans. So if you show them a game, they just want to play something new, and they think it's cool that they're part of the people who get to play it before it comes out. So it's all just that kind of supportive thing. And on my side, from the artistic angle, it's very cooperative because what's beautiful about art is I can teach you a technique, but you're not threatening my artwork by using that technique. You're just going to use it your own way. So it's awesome. It's awesome industry.
And if you taught me your art technique, I would definitely be using it in, quote, my own way.
Exactly. Quite literally.
Kind of like, mine would be like the Picasso version of whatever you taught me. It would just be crazy and all over the place.
There you go.
So Grant, going back to that artwork. So when we look at like the cover boxes and all that, that's your designs there on these.
Yeah. Yep. Mike does some the layout. He lays it all out so everything's space bright and within specifications. But
all the specifications the manufacturer requires. I make sure it's layered right and all that kind of stuff. But
basically gives me the measurements and the templates, and I work within that. And usually he comes back and says, "You forgot the bleed," and we go from there.
No, I still make you bleed. I protect you.
The dwarven miner doesn't have a mole on his head, and he needs to.
He originally had a gold tooth, which
shut down. Yeah. The only thing I contribute to the art is ideas, like some ideas.
We're writing some books together too. And Mike's doing the bulk of the writing, and I'll go through content edit and all that. He does that with my art. So in fact in Dwarven Miner I drew the chieftain, and he was epic, and the wind's blowing in his hair, and he looks like a leader, but his sword looks like a toothpick.
Yeah. I don't know how I missed that. He sent me a picture. I'm like, this is awesome. I said, the only thing I would change is I would make his blade a little more, rugged and dwarvish. And as soon as I said it, he goes, "Oh, wow, yeah, you're right."
He's got a rapier.
A rapier would have looked manly compared to
It's a butter knife. Not going to do much with that.
Yeah, the only game that I did not do the art on is X Marks the Spot. And that we worked with a friend of ours, Nigel Sod, who is an amazing artist. Very unique artwork. And he's always wanted to make a game with his artwork, so we like it.
Nice. And,
it's not amazing.
I'll tell you, half the people that watch this are going to go to this site, see your artwork, Grant, and be chasing you down to do things for them now.
I'm okay for that.
Well, that's the thing. We've both garnered outside, work because of this company. Where people ask Grant to do some artwork, and people said, "Okay, Mike, I've got this game, and I'm trying to figure out these dice mechanics. Can you help me?" So it's actually
what's cool is because Mike and I have known each other since, I was 5 and he was 4, and that's a long friendship because we're old. And it's just very clear to us, like there's just no arguments and stuff like that. Like I'm not going to do something that would be a conflict of interest to the company, and neither would he. And so, but even then, everything that comes our way, we tell each other about it, and hey, is it cool if I do this? And yeah, it all works out well.
Yeah, I mean, his son's making a little board game right now, and I had to draw the line, like, you're not helping your son. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I've met his son. I wouldn't do it either.
Most of them afraid Jimmy could outsell us.
Yeah, so get this. My son, he was 10 at the time, right? He had to make, he had just turned 11, nothing matters, but he was trying to get the board game design merit badge for Scouts. And he had to design a game, and he made this actually very fun game, but it was all Mario and Nintendo themed. And he's like, "Okay, Dad, we got this game working. Let's contact Nintendo."
Which I did.
And let's pitch him the idea. And Mike did, and he's like, "Well, they don't take outside submissions." And so this barely 11-year-old looks at me and goes, "I guess we'll just have to go after the rights." So he can produce it with Nintendo's permission. And I'm just like, "Wow, you're incredible." But he's since changed it to a complete hacker's game, and you got to hack the mainframe and all this and stuff.
It's great. I mean, so much was designing games at that caliber at that age. It's crazy.
It's incredible. That's the thing that blows me away is, when we were kids, we were, building teepees out of sticks, and I look at some of the things these kids do now. They're designing games. My son is designing websites, and I'm just like blown away by some of the things that they come up with. So I've got, my 8-year-old daughter, she made a video. Like a horror movie video with her friends, And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, it's in black and white, and it's got effects. And
it was pretty good. I saw it because you posted and said, hey, she could use some views, And
I did. I posted it. I mean, I was shocked by it. But they do. They know how to do all this stuff, and it's amazing the stuff they'll come up with.
Yeah.
Whenever my wife wants to figure out her iPhone, she just talks to our daughter.
Yeah.
Well, I think kids now have a huge leg up because I was fortunate that I talked about my grandfather earlier. I was raised by my grandparents, and they supported me in whatever I did. They really, really did. And they tried to make sure I got exposed to whatever I wanted or anything like that. But despite that, if I went to them with my open Dungeons and Dragons book and said, how can I get my Paladin's armor class up? They didn't know. They cared, but they didn't know. Whereas our generation having kids now, it's like, it's like, sure, we can tell you, we can put you on that geeky path very readily.
Or just, meet my friend Google. He can help you out, or YouTube.
Yep.
Exactly. What a different point. So let me ask you this, guys. Where does it go from here? Where do you see this going in the next few years? What are the future plans?
Well, we're going to be releasing at least 2 products this year, and our goal is to just, ramp up, because we've got a backlog of awesome game ideas, thanks to Mike, and we keep getting submissions from other people, and we're not taking them because we have too many of our own games we're trying to get out. So we definitely just keep planning on going and getting bigger and bigger. We don't want to get too big to lose heart, though. You know what I mean?
Sure, we want to keep it a family and friends-based company. But 2015 is a busy year. We've got 2 games, a sequel to Pirates, Ninjas, Robots, and Zombies.
Mm-hmm. Which is actually called Graveyards, Ghosts, and Haunted Houses.
Nice.
Yeah, so what it is, Pirates, Ninjas, Robots, and Zombies is the first game in what we're calling the Drawn and Quartered series. And each game is going to build on the previous game, have its own theme, like this one's Ghosts, and have a little bit more depth to rules, a few different ideas, a few different game
deeper
styles.
strategy than the first.
Yeah, so it's not just a complete, copy of the other one with just different pictures. They're going to be cousins. Whereas we have an archaeology-themed one, a space one, a dungeon crawl one, and they're all going to be a family of games. So we've got that second one coming out this year. We're working on another more European-style game, and we're writing a second book. So 2015 is kind of packed.
Boom.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm really excited to hear all of that, because it's good to see businesses like this that can thrive in this day and age, and really, probably thrive better just because of some of the avenues that exist and some of the technologies that make it easier to produce these types of things. So it's very exciting to see that. I'm excited for you guys. I follow your progress all the time, and I'm always impressed by what I see. So I'm really excited by that. Now, to change the subject just a little bit, because I know I will get hammered and insulted if I don't bring this up at least once.
Yeah.
So, Grant, how is it post Ghost Hunters?
It's great. It was weird when I left the show. Everyone kind of acted like I died. It's just like people
who said they
crying
could come visit you, right?
You'll never see him again. I'd come back to the show. I would do it again, if I was asked and all that. But still investigating, not as intensely, just because I've got other business ventures, and I've recently moved, so my caseload would have obviously dipped. But still investigating. Still, I will always be fascinated by the paranormal, and it's good because I'm able to get back to the way things were before the show. I had been investigating since long before the show, and back then you could get to know a family, and you would take months to figure out the haunting, figure out what was needed, and help them find comfort and empowerment and things like that. On the show, you'd see us go in, we do a preliminary investigation, just kind of get our heads wrapped around it, then we give that info off to a local group or a TAPS affiliate or whatever, and move on. Right. And so you never got this real, I missed that, of entrenching yourself with these people and really trying to get to the bottom of problems, because a lot of the problems sometimes involve some very personal stuff, and these people have to open up to you. And I'm able to do that again, and that's nice, yeah.
Yeah, well, one story that I don't think you even know this story, Grant, is part of the story because you were there. But I remember when Andy and I came down and we went down to Starbucks, to meet with you guys, and we were sitting there, and you and Jason say, we're Sci-Fi called, and they want to do this Ghost Hunter show with us and everything else. And I remember sitting there going, oh, yeah, that's awesome. And I left, and I looked at Andy, and I'm like, yeah, that's never happening. And now here it is, 12 years later, and it's still going?
But that's what people don't understand is they catch the show, and the paranormal is kind of already moving. It's already going, and they're just jumping on board this train. But when we started, man, we turned down the show 5 times because it was scary as heck. You just didn't talk about what you did.
Right.
And, we were afraid that we were going to open that part of our lives up and people weren't going to understand it. And it was just going to ruin us. And, it was very scary for us because it wasn't cool back then.
Not necessarily for you guys, but it had happened. We'd seen stories in the news, where the newspaper would run an article, ghost hunter teacher fired for, having a video about being a ghost hunter or whatever, things like that. And so I could see why that would be a scary thing.
Yeah, and it just wasn't cool back then. I remember doing lectures at like the local library and stuff, and 10 people might show up. One of them was your mom, you know what I mean, kind of thing.
Sure.
And
just because you ride home later.
Yeah. And, yeah, she's nice. She's actually like crocheting in the back, but I think the most people we've spoken to in one shot was about 3,800 people. Packed this big theater house, and it's great to see. We took a gamble and won. I think for ourselves, because we were not only betting ourselves and our lives and our families, but also the industry itself.
I think your gamble paid off for a lot of people too, because the paranormal is now a lot more front and center, and it's not as taboo. And
well, that's what I'm talking about. Is we put the field out there as part of the wager. Like we are going to do this show. We finally agreed to it because the guy who wanted to make the show said, "Look, if you don't do this, the idea is out there, and someone else will do it. And how will they represent the field?" And we thought, "Crap, all right," because we're probably some of the most down to earth ghost hunters out there. So we did it, and thankfully it worked, and the industry's better. The field's better for it in most ways.
And it's more accepted, and people understand it a lot better, I think.
Well, let me ask this. And I'm asking this. I'm totally in the middle. I have no opinion one way or the other.
Sure.
So I have heard. Let's break it into 2 camps. There's a camp that says there are ghosts. At Gettysburg, some guy got killed on the field. He's still haunting it. There's another camp that's going to say, no, that's not a ghost. That's a demon.
And then there's a third camp that says you're all just insane.
Oh, well, they're all just insane. Yeah, you're all just insane. But I've heard the demon one. I've heard lectures on that. So I mean, and again, I'm not. So what is it exactly?
Well, here's the best answer that I can give. Over the years, I've clearly been asked this question a lot. I've seen tons of weird stuff, and let's put it this way: something weird is going on that most people are trying to ignore. Dead people makes the most sense. Like, I can't say there's an afterlife. I can't say this in as an honest answer. I can't say it, and what I mean by that is, I'm standing there and I see an entity, and that entity tells me its name, and I do research and find out that person really existed and died how he said he died. Like, what is that? I can't just make an assumption. For me to say that that's that dead person coming back and talking to me makes sense and is probably true, but I don't really have any way to say for sure that is a dead person.
And I'm just asking. That's all.
Very honest.
I used to see a lot of stuff that didn't make sense, but then I quit doing drugs. And
well, that'll do it. Well, it goes to Mary Jane. She gets
just quit the LSD.
You joke about that, but that really is one of the things that has to be investigated anytime there's a claim of that. Is is the person doing drugs?
Well, sometimes they don't even know they're doing it. I was on a case with Mike and his wife, and His wife Holly was looking through the medication and found that they were mixing an old prescription, new prescription, and the mix created a hallucinogen. So
yeah, I shouldn't be laughing, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
And then my wife dumped them all into her own purse, and we didn't see her for days.
Yeah.
But something about the paranormal field though that I've noticed is that people are starting to think this way. Is that instead of saying we know something, we need to say this is what the body of evidence says so far, which is kind of what Grant's pointing to. I mean, I read an article yesterday. Some scientists, there are a group of scientists that found evidence that the Big Bang is not what we thought the Big Bang was at all.
Right.
That doesn't mean the scientists before them were wrong or stupid or anything like that. It means they had the best deductions that they had with the available information. And that's why we need to push the paranormal field forward. This is my little soapbox moment, is that, like Grant says, we don't know. Our evidence so far points here. We need to keep looking.
Well, and there are certain religious denominations that just, heads up, that say don't mess with that, it's demons.
Yeah.
When you die, you go to heaven, and or hell, one of the two. And don't mess with that, it's demons. And again, I'm just saying, Yeah,
no, I know exactly where you're coming from, and there are stuff out there that is very negative, and it's a completely different realm. I've come across it many, many times.
Yeah, I have too.
It's completely different from the ghost in your backyard. Like the ghost in Gettysburg that you mentioned is not a demon, most likely. Like they just don't work that way. There are a lot of religions that just say everything's a demon. And what I say to them, or they say, don't believe in ghosts. Yeah, but you talk about the Holy Ghost. You talk about how we have a spirit in our body. Like, how can you say that this stuff can't exist?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a big discussion.
Yeah. I mean, and we're not going to figure it out.
No.
Not in the next 5 minutes, anyway.
Yeah.
So I kind of hope we never figure it out. I don't think we're supposed to.
Well, and I think you do bring up something though that, and I'm kind of changing gears here a little bit. Science is not faith, and faith is not science, and sometimes people get the two confused. And so now they're coming out and saying, well, the Big Bang may not have happened. And that was, a lot of people accepted that as being something that actually happened. So it's important to emphasize the difference between theory and fact and faith. It's just they're
and humility.
And humility, yeah.
Science needs to be humble, and it's often science is, but scientists aren't.
Yeah.
And same with paranormal people. Like, you've got to stay grounded. You've got to say, all right, look, based on what we know so far, this is what we've got going, and we'll stay humble, knowing that can and will change.
Mm-hmm.
But what else are we supposed to do right now with what we have? We have to keep marching forward.
Well, I spent a half hour telling this guy at an investigation that the picture he took was the shadow of his camera strap, and he could. I even recreated the exact picture for him, and he still could not believe that it was a camera strap because he needed that validation in his own life. Whereas I have my faith, I have my beliefs, I have all my stuff, but I'm looking at the world of the paranormal as a search for knowledge. I mean, I've had my experiences, so I don't need that kind of validation. I just want to find out what it is.
What did Sherlock Holmes say?
When you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
So the first step is eliminate the impossible. Okay? Dead people is not impossible yet. Like, it's just not. So we got to keep...
I'm not saying aliens, but aliens.
But aliens.
Now that I can believe.
Speaking of aliens, we did an investigation once, and we found out after investigating that all the activity is actually happening outside of the house, because you hear knocking and things like that. And we caught videos of something with, it looked like it had a large head and eyes, and so we just sent it over to MUFON and said, we don't do aliens. I don't need the government knocking on my door.
Anywhere they already are.
Or aliens erasing my memory or anything like that.
Yeah,
again,
that's no fun. The funny thing is I remember, in the old days, and when I say the old days, we're talking, going back before shows like Ghost Hunters existed, and you had a lot of these crazy people with the websites, and everything they saw was a ghost.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of how we got noticed, is because we shut that stuff down. Some guy was up there charging people membership monthly.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, I won't mention them, but you know who I'm talking about. To look at photos of dust.
Yep, dust, camera straps, light leaks. You
got it. As a videographer, you know this stuff.
And I even remember purposely us using Photoshop and doctoring an image, sending it to him, and he came back with this long explanation of exactly what it was. And what this is clearly the spirit of a person that this happened to, and that's why it looks like this. And I'm like, you are out of your mind,
Yeah, I get photos all the time, and it's always I always precedent it with, okay, I'm going to do my best to debunk this, to disprove this. So if you still want to show me the picture, go ahead. And so I do, and I shoot down. If it's typically, I either shoot it down and have a good rational explanation for it, or there's not enough info. Like, go back and take a picture during the day, or try and get video and move around, see what shows up.
Buddy of mine years ago, and I'm older than you guys, but this was back in the 70s, before the lanterns, that you would light and set off in the sky, the fire lanterns. He figured out a way to do it, and he made his own. He'd set a bunch off. This was in Des Moines, Iowa. He'd set a bunch off, and he'd call the TV stations and the airport and everything else, asking them what it was.
Awesome.
That's what I'm doing tonight.
That's hilarious.
They were all freaking out, it's like, aliens?
I'm not saying aliens.
Aliens,
Basically, it's aliens.
and Grant, you guys sparked kind of a whole new genre of TV as well, which is kind of fun. And some of the other shows that have popped up have been politely, I'll say, interesting. And
different. Yeah, right.
Now there's one that my son and I used to like to watch, and I can't even remember what it's called now, but it has a former FBI person and a supposed camera expert, and I just what is it?
Fact or Fake?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, I know a lot of people.
Like, well, it's a great name, but I don't think you believe the faked part very often when you should. But
Yeah, it's tough to watch that stuff. Those guys are all nice guys, and they definitely. I know how it is when you may work 6 hours to try to come up with an answer, and they don't even show the right answer. Like, that can drive you mad. Fortunately, that happened very often on our show.
Well, and going back at least to the beginning, and when the show started, obviously it's about ghost hunting, but really, a lot of it was about the interpersonal struggles of you guys doing an investigation, and Brian losing things and dropping things and running away and all that kind of stuff. And that's what made it entertaining most of the time. And and I think Pilgrim kind of they kind of understood that it was about the people as much as it was the investigation. Well, and I think they did a good balance with that at times.
Well, when we sat down with Craig Peligian in New York City and had this meeting about if we're going to do it or not, I looked him in the eye and I said, look, I need you to understand one thing, Craig. I said, if you're willing to spend your whatever millions of dollars it takes to make this show and know that we may never capture any activity, do you think this show's interesting enough for that? He's like, yes. And I said, okay, because if you ever push us to try to catch something when there isn't anything, we're going to, like, it's in our contract that they can't fake anything. No one can fake anything. I just didn't want him to sign this paper thinking that he's going to, expect paranormal activity. It's like, we can't predict it. And so it was actually worked into the contract, that we're just going to do what we're going to do. And he thought we were interesting enough that it didn't matter. What we were doing was interesting enough. And I think he was right. We're all a little bit crazy.
As you bring that up, we pitched a show to Discovery and to CBS, and it dealt with there's a guy named James Randi, who you may be familiar with.
Yeah, the Randi Challenge.
Yeah, and what we wanted to do was we wanted to make a TV show based around the Randi Challenge. Yeah. And what ended up being the challenge was the fact that both CBS and Discovery wanted to make sure that we were going to give away the $1 million at the end of the season.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm like, no, you're not getting the premise. It's never going to be given away.
Right. That's why he put up $1 million. He doesn't even need to have it because there's so many ways to shoot it down.
But yeah, and that was the thing, and they didn't want to accept that unless somebody could win the money, you know. So
well, I mean, they could have changed it so that the person who came the closest could get some money.
Right, but I don't think James would have paid that.
No, of course. Well, he would have paid it anyway.
The thing, the Randy Institute, he actually does have that money put aside if somebody can do it. So it is there. It's a legitimate challenge. So he does have it. He's ready to pay it. But, certainly interesting stuff. And, now, of course, James is getting much older and probably not all that interesting. He wasn't really going to be in the show anyway, but just kind of, be the person behind the show, really. And, they just, they weren't interested unless somebody could win the money. And it's like, no, it's not going to work.
Well, this has been fascinating. I got to tell you guys, I am creeped out by zombies and clowns and ghosts. So
our next game.
Zombies, clowns, ghosts, and Steve.
Yeah, and Steve. and my ex-wife liked to play Yahtzee a lot, so but I just realized after listening that just because my ex-wife likes board games and is psycho doesn't mean board games are psycho.
Right. Very good. Very good.
Speaking of that, where's the Ghost Hunters themed board game?
Well,
there you go.
What we have, like we said, the next one is Graveyard Ghosts and Haunted Houses, and it's mildly themed. It's kind of fun and cartoony, make it accessible. But
got your Ghost Hunter in it.
We got some stuff in the works. But if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right, and it's better to do it a little bit later and right.
Nice.
And now and wrong.
Well, there you go. Well, with that, I think that's a great line to end this with. And guys, I appreciate you joining us today. And I've had a lot of fun with this. It's been good catching up and having a little bit of fun talking about all these cool things. So I appreciate you guys doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
So there you go.
Okay, thanks, guys. We got a little more business to take care of. You can hang on if you want. Or
hang on for a second because I want to talk to you guys a little bit afterwards anyway. So
there you go. There you go. Yeah, that was fascinating, though. Actually, I got to just kind of sit back and pretend like I was listening to a podcast.
There you go. You kind of were.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I really liked it. You got a tip of the week?
I do, and it has to do with what we talked about a little earlier. So
okay, hold on here. And now, tip of the week with Ray, the video guy. Okay, because that goes on for like 3 minutes, so I'll just shut it off.
Yeah, the tip of the week actually is something that many of you probably already use, but I'm always surprised that some people don't know of this and don't know it even exists. And that is one of my favorite websites, Fiverr, FIVERR.com. And for those of you who don't know what that is, essentially it's a website where you can buy anything for $5. And when I say anything, I kind of mean anything. So in other words, you might want to have some crazy person.
Video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.
It won't shut off. There we go.
There you go. There's an example. That was done on Fiverr for $5. And the guy actually wrote the song, played the song, recorded the song, all for $5. And you really can't beat that. But you can get anything on there. If you want to have a guy dressed as a donkey sing to your wife, happy birthday, I'm sure there's somebody on there that'll do it for you. And if you need something more serious, backlinks for your website, you can get them on Fiverr. You need a logo design, you can probably find somebody on Fiverr. And I say probably because, well, there's different levels of quality when you do those things.
It's only $5.
It might cost you $50 because it might take you 10 people before you find somebody that does it well. But no, you can get pretty much anything. So if you haven't checked out Fiverr or if you haven't checked it out lately, be sure to do so. You'd be surprised at what you can get. If you think you need to outsource something to another country, to get it done, check out Fiverr. Sometimes you can do these nice short little assignments for $5 and get a lot done. add people to directories, all sorts of fun marketing things.
I've had tech things done for $5.
Oh, absolutely. I've done things where I've needed a PDF that had where you could fill in the blanks, and I had no idea how to do it. Somebody on Fiverr did it for me. So there's a lot of great things on there. You want to make a board game and you want somebody to draw pictures for you? Fiverr.
I won't be on Fiverr.
But everybody else will
draw pictures.
In all honesty,
isn't that what a graphic artist does? Draw pictures?
Kind of. Sometimes depends.
My wife is a graphic artist, and when I say that to her, pisses her off. So
the funny thing is, and you got to understand that. We look at it. When Grant jokes that he won't be there, and that's true. But who will be is an artist that's in Africa, an artist that's in India, where they can do these things and take 2 hours to put something together for $5 and be happy with that. And so they're doing well with that, and we're getting a good bargain out of that, and so it turns out pretty good. And I've actually had, for those of you who follow some of the video things we do, a couple years ago we had a pest control company, and I had a picture of Bigfoot drawn because the tagline was, we'll remove Bigfoot for free. And so we had this big hairy Bigfoot holding their logo in their hand, and we had that done on Fiverr, and it was really quite good.
Hey Grant, have you ever seen Bigfoot?
No. Nope.
Me neither.
That's true. He's not that too hard to believe, Some kind of.
I agree. I don't find Bigfoot very hard to believe of all the things, because we find new creatures all the time.
We watch Finding Bigfoot all the time. I think Matt Moneymaker's on speed, but anyhow.
Could be. He's probably on something if he sees Bigfoot all the time, but.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's my tip of the week. If you want something done and you want it done nice and cheap, check out Fiverr. Sometimes you have to pay a little more. You might have to buy a couple gigs to get it done, but you can get a lot of cool things done for $5. There you go.
Cool.
That's the tip of the week.
Yeah. Fiverr's based in Tel Aviv.
Is it really? See, I didn't even know that.
They've got their sales and marketing is New York City, but it's all based in Tel Aviv. It's kind of cool.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day. Well, until next week, everybody, I appreciate you joining us. I appreciate Grant and Mike joining us. And until next week, get out there and do what you do.
It's the online marketing radio show, Video Marketing Madness with Ray the Video Guy. I'm Steve Sleeper, and our guests today have been Mike and Grant from rather-games.com, cool board games, and today's show made possible by
good old AWeber, the easy way to make sure that you can keep in touch with your customers. Sorry, I can't even speak today. With your customers through email marketing. Head on over to raisebonuses.com. Oh, excuse me. I think I messed that up.
It's Ray the Video Guy.
It's raythevideoguy.com/AWeber, and you can get some of the bonuses that we have to go along with your purchase of AWeber.
Okay, cool. And then you can like our Facebook page, the radio station, or the radio, well, I guess we're not a station. Are we a station?
That's a good question. I guess I think channel might be a better
channel
term.
Yeah. Well, the fan page for the radio show is facebook.com/video marketing madness, and we got plenty of useful tips. And I always post all the news of the week stories in there. Then
Steve does all the work. I just go there once in a while to learn something.
Yeah. Well, me too. I mean, because I'm not making it up. Actually, I am. But so if you don't have the answer, just make it up. And then Ray's Facebook Mastermind group is groups/online video marketers, and you can get your questions answered if you can't find them by Googling them, and then get views for your videos. And one thing that Ray's doing that's cool is asking people to go, search on a keyword and find it and then watch it, which is good crowdsourcing. So we're doing that, I think, too.
It's good stuff. We love crowdsourcing.
Yeah. So, okay. Hey guys, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna do the jingle to take us to the end of the show.
Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy. His skill is where it's at. Even if he's a little fat, he's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the Video video guy. Yeah, Ray the video guy.